What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Gonna let the room pick up just a little bit. Gonna let it pick up just a little bit. And then I'm going to go and get me some tea for my voice. Hold yourself accountable is our declaration. Hold yourself accountable is our declaration. I may actually, because now that I'm talking, I may actually have to come back and do this broadcast once I get some tea in my system. But yeah, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back once I get this tea. Hey, Miss Allen, how you been doing? I ain't been seeing you on the lives. I think I saw you on one the other day. I'm doing good. My voice. Listen, it's the weirdest thing. I believe it's allergies, maybe because I've been, y'all, I don't know if y'all are this type, but I have to go to bed, like it has to be cold in my house in order for me to go to bed. And so I think it's something that started off as allergies and just, I've been sneezing too. But sleeping with the fan on, all of these type of things, it has been one of those like type of springtime. You can see the pollen here just flying around. And so I'm actually going to go and get me some tea. I'm just going to go ahead and do this broadcast because I'm going to be real. Once I get done drinking that tea, I'm going to shower and I'm probably going to lay out and go to bed. But our declaration is hold yourself accountable. Hey, Deborah, blessings to you, Miss Deborah. Hold yourself accountable. No music. Listen, I like the new music, new background music that God has me playing, but this particular broadcast, I don't believe that is needed. Hold yourself accountable. That is going to be our declaration. In fact, hold on, y'all. I'm going to go get me some water, but that is going to be our declaration. Hold yourself accountable. Hold yourself accountable. So hold on one second, you guys. I am going to be right back. All right, y'all. Ooh, listen. First week back working out after a week break, and I'ma just be real, y'all. My legs I keep forgetting that they are sore. But again, our declaration is hold yourself accountable. I think we all have some type of idea of what God is requiring of us in this season. We all have some type of idea as far as the vision that God has given all of us, because truthfully speaking, everybody's vision on here is a little bit different, right? Because Kanema, what's up? Listen, y'all, somebody tell Kanema, get out. Listen, somebody tell Kanema, don't start with them little eye emojis. I had to go and get me some water. I'm sorry. I had to go and get me some water. But everyone on here has an idea of thank you, Miss Allen. Listen, tell her we here. Ain't nobody, listen, it's not an empty room. It's not an empty room. It's not an empty room. But the message is simple. Hold yourself accountable. It's like when you think about the promises that God has made you, when you think about the vision that God has given you for your life, when you think about like your idea of where you desire to be, or the place you're believing for God to bring you to 5-10 years from now, one thing that remains the same no matter what the season is that we've got to show up. I really believe that like in this season, many of us in the old seasons, we laid down things, right? We laid down certain desires because of the struggle, because of honestly just a lack of belief that the season would ever shift. Many of us, slumped into like a slight depression. Some of us battle anxiety. Give me a one if I'm hidden like where you were in the last season. Some of us, it was hard to believe that God could do a certain thing. Some of us, we just simply did not have the energy to believe, because it gets to a point where you're trying so hard to like fight through like where you are. It's so hard to fight through where you are that it'd be like, God, I can't even fathom thinking about anything else, because when you see a situation that's like a right now situation, you ain't trying to hear God talk about nothing else. You ain't trying to take your focus off of whatever that thing is. And so like what I've been noticing just entering into this week is that many of us are in a state of are entering into a season where God is literally waking us up. He's literally saying, wake up, pursue again, dream again, right? Reach this goal. But at the end of the day, what it requires is that we show up. What it requires is that we show up. Now, this came to me right before the gym. It was one of those days. I don't know if y'all have ever experienced like a day where you're just resting and you know that you got things to do, but like the rest seems a little bit more tempting. Like it was one of those days, right? And in that moment, you know, I don't know what clicked, but I just ate my pre-workout meal and went to the gym, right? And as I was sitting there, I kept hearing the Holy Spirit say, hold yourself accountable, right? In previous seasons, there were certain things that we just couldn't do. In previous seasons, I didn't have the mental capacity to do too much. I don't know about y'all, but in the previous season, I didn't have the mental capacity to be consistent at like doing too much. There were certain things I had no choice but to like let go. And that's just me being transparent. And so it's like when the season shifts, when God does press go, when God does reawaken like old dreams, visions, and promises that he spoke over like your life, it's like it takes discipline to not approach the new season the same way that like we approach the old season. Am I making sense? It takes like discipline to make yourself show up when you've been so accustomed to not showing up in a certain area. It's just like a person that has like eaten bad their entire life, not worked out. When they first start like a training regimen or a diet or nutrition type of regimen, like it is the first few days, the first few weeks is extremely rocky because they're getting themselves, their mind, their body into a state of doing something different. And I think a part of like getting to the place where we're giving God something to work with within the confines of the new season, it looks like self-accountability. But you know, a lot of times people don't talk about this when it revolves around being accountable or holding yourself accountable. We will sit there and admit to self-condemning ourselves, but a lot of times we won't sit and admit like what led to the slip up, what led to whatever it is that we're condemning ourselves about. We don't admit that, hey, I didn't hold myself accountable in that moment. I didn't tell myself that was not a good deal. I didn't make myself exercise discipline in that area. And so a lot of times when you think about like where condemnation comes from, it comes from a moment where there is a lack of discipline. Give me a one if I'm making sense. I'm sorry, y'all, it's a fly somewhere. Give me a one if I'm making sense. I'm going to say that again. A lot of times when we think about the cycle and the patterns of what happens when we condemn ourselves, when we're too hard on ourselves, a lot of times it goes back, not all the time, but a lot of times it goes back to a moment where we failed to exercise the discipline needed to bring us to a different outcome. And so when things blow back in our face, right? When we're not a good steward over money, we knew that God was saying do X, Y, and Z, and we didn't do it. We knew the right thing to eat. We knew the right thing to do with our time. We knew what to do, but we did it. And so it's like it is the epitome of sowing and reaping. But when you really think about it, it's a foolish thing to know what you need to do, not do it, and then get mad when the results or the harvest is exactly it you know, I guess exemplifies what you didn't do. It's a foolish thing. And a lot of times we're mad at God, we're mad at ourselves. But in this season, God is saying, hold yourself accountable to doing the things that you know that you need to do, whether it is business, whether it is your health, whether it is financially, whether there are new things that God is asking you to pursue. Because the truth of the matter is that in the beginning of any season, it does take discipline, because it's like God shocks, he shocks your system, because again, we've been so accustomed, at least for me, so accustomed to struggling, so accustomed to not doing certain things that the new thing is shocking. And not only is it shocking, it's hard. because it is something that is new. I pray that I'm making sense. The key to your growth in this season, though, is self-accountability. It's a fly in here. I don't know how it got in. I'm sorry, y'all. But I'm going to say that again. The key to your growth in this season is being able to hold yourself accountable. Being able to acknowledge and hold yourself accountable for the moments where you absolutely know you didn't do what you needed to do. There have been some moments, God says I need to share this, where I've been working with a coach, right? A bodybuilding coach. There have been some moments like previously, some weeks, right? I send weekly check-ins, but there have been some check-ins where I don't even be mad. And I'll just straight up tell him, I didn't do what I needed to do. I was not focused. It was not I just straight up tell him, because I don't need you thinking, or taking accountability for something that's on me. I pray that I'm making sense. There have been some moments where I just absolutely know, T, you didn't do what you needed to do. And you know that you did not do what you needed to do. But there's also freedom in being able to hold yourself accountable. There's also a level of, I guess, freedom that blocks you from like condemning yourself. And so again, I guess the question, I don't know who this is messaging me. The question becomes, what can you do to hold yourself accountable in this season? What things do you need to pick back up, right? What mistakes have you made that you absolutely have not held yourself accountable for? And I think a lot of times this too correlates to why we haven't seen miracles, why we haven't seen breakthroughs, because a lot of times it's not the devil, it's us. It be us. We did it. God, I disobeyed. I lagged behind, right? Or I went too far ahead of you. And so it's like, when you can hold yourself accountable, it blocks out the enemy's strategy to get us to self-condemn ourselves. And so this was just one of the thoughts that I was just seeing re-emerge today with some of the things that I've been having to do. And even for me entering into this week saying, I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to be intentional about how I spend this week. It really forced me to exercise the discipline to say, hey, don't do this. Keep your word. Even though you're tired, get up, go to this gym, take some pre-workout, and let that be it. And so that's kind of what the Lord wanted me to share on tonight. Just a little bit of nuggets about, like, a little bit of wisdom rather, about being accountable, about how it correlates to receiving God's best for your life, how it correlates to seeing growth in your life, how it correlates to being a good steward. And the thing about it is, none of us are perfect. So we all have made mistakes. We all have been that person that blamed the devil, blamed God, when in all actuality, it was us. Half of us have been in the point where we have blamed ourselves. Y'all ever blamed yourself for something that happened to you? Have y'all ever, give me a one, if y'all can say, Apostle, I've been that person where I've straight up blamed myself for the lack of progress. I've beat myself down about how a certain situation played out. We all have been there. But in this season, God is saying this is not a season where self-condemnation can live. But this is one of those seasons where God is saying, if anything, be accountable. Hold yourself accountable for doing what you need to do. Hold yourself accountable in moments where you slip up. Hold yourself accountable. Own up to it. Own up to the mistakes, right? But we live in a day and age where people will hold on and they will own up to the good things that happen in life. But think about it. Most people refuse to say, I apologize. Most people in the world refuse to say that they are wrong. But as children of God, God teaches us to be the exact opposite. He teaches us to say, hey, you're wrong. He teaches us to see when we're wrong, if that makes sense. And so I believe that for many of you guys, even when you get off of this broadcast, I believe that some of you guys already recognize some of the things that you can be better in, some of the things that God is asking you to execute in this season. But nevertheless, at the end of the day, God says, hold yourself accountable. I'm going to say it again. Hold yourself accountable. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to God. And I'm just at this point, I didn't come out of that painful of a season to not do what I need to do to receive God's best. I'm going to say that again. I didn't come out of that painful of a season, the old season, to get to a place where I'm not willing to acknowledge, right? Or where I'm not doing what I need to do to receive God's best, where I can't hold myself accountable for doing what I need to do. It's like when you think about how much time we've been in previous seasons, like think about it. Do you really want to waste that time not doing what you know you need to do? Do you really want to wander in that place of transiency? Or do you want to just do what you got to do and get to your promise, right? And I believe that for many people, it's the latter. Nobody wants to continue to feel like you're wasting time or continue to go around and around and around in circles. So when it's all said and done, do what you got to do. I'm going to say that again. When it is all said and done, what God is simply saying is do what you got to do. And that is the broadcast, y'all. That is it. I'm not going to add nothing to it. I'm not going to take away anything from it. To those of y'all that want to sow, you guys can sow. The funds are going to go towards getting me some tea. I have honey, but I need to get me some tea and some lemon juice. And that is it. And so until next time, y'all, peace.